Hello there! Today I want to talk to you about the First War. At the beginning of time, when the 9 worlds were already built and all creatures in all worlds lived at peace, the Aesir gods had already received their gifts from the dwarves, and each world was at peace with itself. One day the earth gods, the minor gods, and the gods of the skies or heavens, Aesir gods, got into a fight, and nobody knows actually why, or today we don't know why anymore, but it was such a bad fight that one day they got into war and the two armies stood opposite of each other, and Odin took his spear and threw it all over the army to receive victory. It was the magical spear he got from the dwarves. Once thrown would bring victory. But the price was very high, and he made himself guilty of killing brothers, and so a very devastating war started. One day the Aesir gods got together and had a high court, and they decided that the war couldn't go on like this because a price of victory would be too high to pay, and already too much blood of brothers was shed. So they went to the Vanir gods and said that in exchange for hostages they would end the war. The Vanir gods said okay, and each party of the war chose which hostages should be sent to the other. The Aesir chose Hönir, the brother of Odin, which was considered a very good leader and should be the leader of the Vanir gods. And they also sent Mimir, which was a person of very much wisdom and keeper of the Mimir well at the roots of the world tree, where Odin drank to receive the runes and wisdom, but had to give his eye for. They sent these two to the Vanir gods, and they exchanged for Njörður and his children Freyja and Freya. Freya was also given a kind of leader position. When the dead come to Asgard, then she would have the first choice to receive half of all died people which were honored to fight with the gods, and Odin would take the other half. So this first choice was a piece of respect towards Freya. Freya's brother was also able to keep his ruling over the elves, which was something he took with him, and was a gift that was made while he was still with his people. And these 3 gods were taken as equal and made part of the Aesir, even though they weren't born as them, but they were treated with full respect and fully equal. The Vanir gods didn't show that much respect. They at first were very happy about their hostages, and Hönir was a very good leader, but every time before he made a decision he asked Mimir what he should do, and they were kind of... They didn't trust Mimir that much, and so one day they weren't sure if it wouldn't backfire against them, so they beheaded Mimir and sent his head back to the Aesir gods. This was not only very disrespectful, it was dishonorable, it was an act that made the Vanir gods disappear from our midst. They live in their world, but they only have very few people that worship them. Except the names of the Vanir gods we know which live with the Aesir gods. Oh, no, I don't know any names of them at least. If somebody knows them, you could perhaps post them. I didn't find anything about that, so they're kind of forgotten, and who wants to honor this honorable gods or worship them? Odin was very shocked to see what they did with his good friend Mimir, so he decided to save his life, at least partially, and he bewitched the head and took herbs and magic spells so the head stayed alive even though it was separated from the body. And he carries it around with him all the time, so he still has his wise companion and he can always ask him, even though this wisdom was offered as in form of the hostage exchange, but obviously the Vanir gods didn't want this wisdom, so Odin preserved the wisdom for them. Unfortunately, he doesn't have a body and Odin has to carry him around all the time. If someone knows the cartoon Valhalla, at the beginning of time, there's a chess play between Mimir's head and Odin. It's a quite nice setting in pop culture and nice honor of Mimir, who is only mentioned in small parts of mythology, even though this first war is very important due to respect, how to behave even in times of war, and what happens even to gods if they disrespect people or if they do such horrible things like beheading hostages, which always leads to losing every honor you have and people recognizing you. People like that will always disappear, just like the Vanir gods did.